Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Portia Sterling, and if you're here, I hope you're ready to go in with me on all the drama that's been happening lately with Love Island, because that's what I've been catching up. Now, wait, I can't even say I've been catching up on it. Well, I guess I have been catching up on it because I'm super behind. Like, I stopped watching the show in order to write, and then all this other drama came out, and I was just like, I need to tap back in to figure out what's going on. And then I was inspired by some things, and that tied into my writing. So I like to say that it's a beautiful thing being a writer, because you can pull in your interests and your guilty pleasures and the different ways that you entertain yourself, and you can pull that into your writing. And I definitely was able to do that with all the craziness that's been going on. So just to let you know, like, there will be spoilers in this if you watch Love Island, but I'm so behind that I doubt that I'm going to be spoiling much for anyone, because I literally am like, I stopped watching the latest season forever ago, and I was like on episode 3 or something, 2, I think. So I'm like just kind of, I'm not even done with the season. I don't even know who won. Like, I'm that behind. And then I'm seeing all this stuff pop up online on social media, and I'm just like, what? Like, what is going on? So anyways, all of that kind of sparked some inspiration for the book that I'm currently working on, which is called Fallen, Sons of God. It's the Sons of God series, but yeah, so I want to talk to you guys about that. So the subject of this is, if the title brought you to this video, then maybe there's something in it that you need to hear. I don't know what the title will be yet, but I know that what I'm going to speak about is the fact that sometimes, even though you still love somebody, even though the love is still there, you have to like, break it off with people, like when you know that the relationship isn't for you. And I think a lot of times, especially as women, like, we wait for the love to fade before we end things. And sometimes, like, if you truly love somebody, the love may never fade, but you have to realize when a situation is not for you. And of course, this is coming from me observing the drama between Huda and Jeremiah on the latest Love Island season, and I just had to speak on it and write about it, but I'll tell you about that later. So I usually try not to get caught up in the reality TV drama, especially when I'm trying to write, but this situation with Huda and Jeremiah was just like a masterclass in emotional chaos, and I just had to like take a break and just observe it, and I just needed to see how it was going to play out, because I will start out by saying that I did have my opinion about how he was all in on her, like on day one. On the first episode, they had this like little thing where they were supposed to kiss the people that they were interested in, and Jeremiah kissed her, and then it was like once he kissed her, he just locked in and didn't even want to like play the game with anybody else. And that kind of raised some red flags for me, because you don't know her like that. Like, I just, attraction is one thing, but it's not enough to really have like a strong connection with somebody, because people are way more than just what they look like. So it's always a little bit eye-raising for me when people do that, because then I'm just like, okay, this looks a little love bomby. So I already was kind of looking at him away. But then when the storyline continued, we found out that she was a mother, that he wasn't, and then his reaction to that, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to end well, because after she told him that, and it was like a moment of vulnerability, and he stayed, it just seemed like the dynamic shifted, where she was clearly all in, and he had some reservations, but she just did not even see that anymore. Like, she was just all in with Jeremiah, did not talk to anybody else. And then there was these little moments where he had like some jealousy about her maybe possibly connected with other people. And I was like, this is not going to end well. Like, I cannot be the only one that sees this. And obviously I wasn't. Ace apparently did too, but I don't know if he was hating or not, because he had his own situation that he just, we'll talk about him later. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know. But, yeah, you know, eventually things just wasn't going her way. And then you could see her just spiraling, begging, reaching, trying to reconvince him of their connection. And, you know, maybe she loved him. You know, maybe it wasn't attachment issues. I don't know. Maybe he loved her on some level. But, you know, it made me think about how, like, love just isn't enough when the timing is off and the peace is gone. Like, she wasn't getting peace from him, and she definitely wasn't giving peace to him afterwards. Their situation just became increasingly toxic, with her just crashing out and calling him out of his name. And that's, to me, where it got, like, he wasn't the greatest with certain things. Like when he, you know, there was the recoupling and he was matched with somebody else and didn't come and check on her after making it seem like he was all in, and, you know, not even going over to check her emotions and stuff like that. That wasn't cool. But her reaction in return was like, whoa. And for me, it was just evidence of what happens when someone really feels like they were, you know, giving their all to a situation that they didn't realize, like they didn't realize the other person wasn't doing the same thing. So it's unfortunate. It's sad. You know, I really feel like she could have had a better experience there if she would have kind of operated a different way, where she just got to know multiple people and took it a little bit slower. But she's young, and you live and you learn. You know, that's just, it's part of life, right? But it just made me think about how so often, like, as I continued to watch after that, I saw like how she was trying to make it be something because she still had feelings for him. And it made me think about how many times that I've been in situations, or I've seen friends and other women in situations where you hold on to things and try to make it seem like your connection with another person is supposed to be something just because you still have strong feelings for them. And how much we can cling on to those little bits of like breadcrumbs that a person's given us just because of those feelings, without realizing like, hey, if I truly love this person, the love probably will not ever go, but I need to go. And that is like the lesson, or the thing that I haven't finished, but I hope at some point she gets that. Like, I still care for him, but that doesn't mean I'm supposed to wait around and wait for something to happen. Like, this is just not who I'm supposed to be with. I can love him and move on, and love somebody else and move on, and, you know, and love a bunch of people, because you know, love is forever, but you don't have to be with that person. So that's kind of what I want to go over in this video, like, and give you guys some signs of when it's time to let go, even though you might still have really strong feelings for someone. So the first sign that it's time to go, even if you still love someone, is if you're betraying yourself to keep the connection alive. So, I mean, I think it goes without saying, but people, like, we all do it all the time without even thinking about it. But constant self-abandonment is not romance. Like, if you're always betraying yourself and your wants and your needs to make something work, if you're always kind of like going against your boundaries to keep a connection alive, then obviously, like, that's not the connection for you. Because I think a lot of times the reason why people get so mad when things end, like in the case of Huda, how upset she got, is that you feel like you're overperforming in a relationship and constantly betraying yourself. And then when you get to the end, you're like, I didn't get a return on the investment. Like, I invested a lot emotionally and there's no return on that. And so then there's this humongous emotional reaction to something because of the fact that you spent the entire relationship over investing emotionally or physically, whatever, just betraying yourself the entire time. And you're holding on to like the potential of what something can become, and then it does not ever get there, and that can feel like a huge slap in the face to people, and you start thinking about all the things that you did and all the things that you thought were going to happen and it didn't, and that is what makes someone so bitter. So to avoid getting to that point, it's like, you have to in real time realize like when you're beginning to betray yourself to keep something alive, and just end it. Yeah. You can have a conversation about it, but if nothing comes of it, then it's just time to go. The second sign that it's time to go, even if you love someone, is if they're inconsistent with their presence, but they're consistent with confusion. That's the biggest thing. Like, that's the biggest sign. If you're with an avoidant person, and there's this on and off thing that they do, this push and pull dynamic, that's not mystery. Like when they come in real strong and then they fade out, and then they come in, like that's not mystery. That's just misalignment. That's just letting you know like this is not the person for you. Nothing that you should be in should have you confused or in a constant state of like what's going on. Like, grown-ups should be able to communicate effectively and consistently, and if someone is kind of doing this game with you, you need to move on. Even if you like the person, even if you love the person, you can still have feelings for someone and understand that this doesn't mean that you guys need to connect in a romantic way. Third sign that you need to move on from someone, even if you love them, is if you feel more anxious than secure around them. Your body knows more than you know. Like, your body can tell you something before your mind is willing to accept it, before your heart is willing to accept it. If you're around a person and you constantly feel like jittery and not settled, then there's something that you just haven't picked up on yet that is making you feel that way. Comfort is everything. Like, when you're home, hopefully, there's some people that can't say this, but like when you're home and you're in your safe, comfortable space, or you're alone or with a friend or somebody else that makes you feel comfortable, like that settled feeling is how you should feel around anybody that you're trying to connect with romantically. Because like, if your body can't relax around them, then they shouldn't really have access to you, because your body is basically screaming like stranger danger, right? There's a reason for that. So if you feel more anxious than secure around somebody, even if you love them, and in this case, I would examine if what you feel is actually like love for them, or love for who you think they could be, or what you think that you guys could have. Because if your body isn't settled like around them, that means you don't really know them as well as you might think you do. Like, they're still making you all jittery. There's more that you need to learn about that person. So yeah, if that is happening, then it might be time to like move on, or at least pull back and get to know them a little bit more. The fourth sign that it's time to let someone go, even if you still love them, is if you've stopped dreaming about the future and you're literally just trying to survive the present. Like, a real relationship will expand you, not shrink you. Like, it won't have you feeling like each moment you're stepping on a landmine just to like keep it alive. If you're so busy trying to survive the day-to-day that you can't even think about the future with somebody, you've got to let them go, because that relationship isn't for you. Like, a relationship, like I said, should expand you. You should be able to think about, what you guys are going to do years from now. Y'all should be able to have a vision about that, and, be able to like agree on how you're going to get into that future. So if you can't even settle into the day-to-day, that's a clear sign. And the fifth sign that a relationship probably isn't for you and you need to let it go is if you're constantly asking God for signs while ignoring all of the ones he's already sent. And so, I can't even say anything about this, because I feel like this is just something we all do all the time, where it's just like, God, send me a sign, let me know. And he sends you that sign, and, it's like, send me another one. if you find yourself in that position, then, you might need to just let it go and deal with the fact that you might continue to have love for this person forever. You might feel like it's unfinished or whatever, because you didn't get to see it go to the place that you thought it could go. But it's just time for you to move on if certain things just don't feel aligned, okay? But I just don't want to leave you guys with those signs and just be like, bye. I want to give you some tips on how to kind of stand on business after you walk away, because it's not just easy to decide to leave a situation when the emotions are still there and may never, like I said, go away. I'm a romance author, so that might have a lot to do with how I love people, whether it's a platonic friendship, like relationship, or a romantic relationship. I tend to love people very deeply. I like to find out everything about them, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I accept it. And if you're in my inner circle, you're in my inner circle. Even if we fall out, I still have love. I still wish the best for you. I won't be out here telling your secrets and stuff. There's still that level of loyalty. And so for me, love, whether it's platonic, romantic, whatever, is forever. And in that case, that means that, whenever things end, it's usually ending because there's a misalignment. And there's still feelings there, but I've had to understand and learn through my life, because of the way I am, that just because you have those feelings, like, that doesn't mean that you go and rekindle romance or friendships or whatever, because people show you who they are and you have to believe them. So, that's the thing. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wrong, and just because you love someone doesn't, it means sometimes that you can still love them and still choose to let them go. And once you've made that choice, you've got to stand on business. You have to keep it there. So you don't want to reopen closed doors just because you're lonely. So whenever you feel like, my phone is dry, or I don't have any plans, or whatever, you don't want to fall into the trap of like going back and reopening something that you closed a long time ago, because 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be the same situation again. If you must, you might have to mute their profile, block them on social media, replace the habit of them and the things you used to do with them with a habit of how you can pour into yourself. So form new habits based off of you and your likes, and getting to know yourself. Write, pray, move, work out, walk, keep the energy going forward, keep making small steps forward to build a different life for yourself. And just, remind yourself that you're not leaving love, you're leaving chaos, okay? So you can still have love, but you're leaving the chaos that person was bringing into your life. And that is, that's something that you have to do for the sake of your peace. So to bring it full circle with my whole Write With Me series that I'm doing, I actually decided to write about this with one of the characters in the book. It's not Nevaeh, it's her best friend Kaya, who was going through a similar situation where something happens that it's kind of a hilarious scene that I had a lot of fun writing it, but it came with a real deal struggle for the character of, she finds out something about her man that she's in a relationship with, something that he likes to do that is not, it's just not it for her, and she just can't see the man that she's with being able to, I'm gonna put out a teaser. I've been putting out a few chapters of this book, and I'll put this one out at some point. So join my mailing list, you'll be able to read it. But there's something that she discovers about him that she just cannot get past. And even though she has strong feelings for him, she's wondering if she just needs to let the relationship go. I can't say too much, but yeah, it's quite a situation. And so it's one of those things where it's not like he did anything wrong to her. Like he's not cheating or betraying her or lying or anything like that. But it's something that just doesn't gel with who she is and her life. And she has strong feelings for him. And honestly, I wrote the scene not even knowing where I was going to go with it. I saw the scene in my mind. I wrote it. And then at the end, I was just like, how is this going to play out? Because I honestly don't know. And I was talking to my own best friend about it because I let her read it. And I just was like, you know, she was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I have to figure this out from an authentic place, from writing about the characters. And that's usually how I figure out a lot of situations in my books. You know, I attack a lot of things in my books that I don't really have the answer to in real life. Like, I don't know what I would do if faced with that. So I'm like, you know what, let me write about it and see what happens. And that's what I did with this. So I set up the scene, set up the emotions on both ends of what the characters are feeling. And then through their dialogue, I think I'll just figure out what feels authentic for Kaya based off of where she is in her life at the moment and what she decides to do. And I honestly have no idea because I feel for both characters. Like, I feel for her and her feelings on her relationship, but I also feel for her man, like, and what he's going through. And I just don't know what to do about it at this point. So that would be a journey, but it's based off this whole situation of like, when you have to think about something and, you know, think about the love that you have with a person and how much it's worth for you. Like, in some cases, love is worth everything, and there's little small compromises that you have to make. And in some cases, there's huge compromises that you just are not willing to make, even though you might love somebody, and you just have to let them go. I mean, I've always been a person that just felt like if you fall out of love with a person, then you didn't really love them. Like, if you've been with a person and you're just like, oh, I love you, and then, you know, fast forward, the relationship or whatever ends, and you just are like, I don't love you anymore at all, and I don't care if you get hit by a car and die or something. Like, you never loved that person. Like, I just am a person that feels like once you love somebody, you love them forever. Like, you love the person that they are forever. Whether or not you want to be with them is an extra thing. Like, I you know, it's interesting to me because I feel like love comes from you out, you know? So, like, if you are love, like God is love, then you can love everybody for who they are with certain boundaries in place, because certain people just don't know how to act in regards to you. They can't love you the way that you need to be loved, so that doesn't mean that they should have access to you. However, you could love them as, like, you know, I love you as a person from over there, and I don't want anything to happen to you. I could wish you the best and blah, blah, blah. But just because you have a connection with somebody doesn't mean that it has to be anything other than, you know, whatever works best for you and your place of peace. So I'll see how that goes with Kaya in the book. I have no idea how it would go, and I'm going to continue to watch Love Island to see how this happens with Huda, and then I'll do my, like, you know, investigation of what's going on after the show with her, because I have no idea, but we'll see. And then there's this other drama that is coming up, which is crazy, all of the racist things that are happening. But, you know, I can't even say I'm surprised, because Love Island really sometimes is tripping, like when it comes to Black women and how they handle us on there. So, but I'll save that for another time. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But for any of you who have found yourself in a situation where you still love somebody, but you know that the relationship isn't for you, don't feel like you have to, like, hang on and fight for it and beg for somebody to treat you well. You know, you don't have to hate somebody to be able to move on and respect yourself. You don't have to wait till somebody betrays you in order to choose you. You don't have to sabotage situations. Like, I used to do that when I was, like, way, way younger and immature in relationships. Instead of like just leaving when I knew I needed to leave, I would sabotage it in some way so that then I could leave, you know. And you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to erase the love in order to protect yourself. You can just choose you and move on in peace. Be honest with the person, have a conversation, and then maybe even if you can't salvage a romantic relationship, maybe you can at least salvage a friendship with the person at the very least. And, you know, like I said, you can move on in peace. So with that said, I hope you guys have an awesome week. Until next time, when we speak again, I don't know when that will be because I honestly am going to be writing. And when I start writing, my schedule is just, I've been trying to be super consistent with these videos, but I have to be honest, like when I write, I go into a whole other zone and I forget what I'm supposed to do unless it's like my children because they're in my face. Like everything else is just, but I'm going to try to be more consistent with these videos and update you guys on my progress. And yeah, just keep me in your prayers. So until then, you guys, peace. Bye. You do not want to miss the next video, I promise. So please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more.